It's the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast.
Oh, is it me? Right. Hello and welcome to another episode of what number are we on? 125.
125.
The celebrated universal episode of 125, and over in the far corner, outside of Portsmouth or inside of Portsmouth, but somewhere within
Portsea Island.
confines of
Portsea Island.
Portsmouth, I bring to you my co-host, Go-Clud, whose knowledge of science fiction and pointless television memorabilia is legendary in the field. The legend himself, the man himself, I introduce Michael Ball.
Thank you, Martin, and Martin's Sci-Fi Appeal. Or basically, I've learned everything from you, Martin. You kind of taught me a lot. So a lot of it's self-taught, but I've certainly learned something this week in the realms of science fiction. And actually, sorry, I meant by the gods of science fiction, not Martin's Sci-Fi Appeal. That's your old name. Last week, we were talking about something to do which is festive for our last show for the year. And then Martin said, have you ever heard of a film called Santa Claus Conquers the Martians? And I said, no, Martin, I've not heard of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. So he gave me this sort of ultimatum kind of thing or a sort of task where we both decided, because Martin hadn't seen it either, apparently, to watch this movie, which is actually free to watch on YouTube. It's that low in regard to copyright that you can watch it for free on YouTube. And I sat there and watched it. So, Martin, do you want to lead into this movie?
Well, since we're playing devil's advocate here, I will try and step in and defend this movie.
All right.
First, I will give you some facts on this film first.
Before we do that, should we just quickly sort of like say what the film was about? Or do we
really have to go?
No,
there?
we don't have to. No. No. All right. Okay. Basically, Santa Claus goes to Mars.
Yes.
All right. So basically, from what I understood of this movie, there's a lot of unhappy Martian children who don't really have the magic of childhood, and some Martian geezer, he somehow is aware of Santa Claus on Earth. And he decides he wants to bring Santa Claus from Earth to make their children happy. I think that's pretty much the gist of it, kind of thing.
Well, they kidnap him, don't they?
They kidnap him, yeah. They kidnap him.
Right. This is the first ever film in history that introduced Mrs. Claus, the concept.
Oh! Now that is interesting fact.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah.
Oh, so this was the. Yeah. Oh, so that is probably its legacy.
First time Mrs. Claus ever got mentioned.
Oh.
In the medium, yeah, seriously, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
And from then we got Mrs. Claus in everything, you know.
Yeah, Mrs. Claus is okay. So this film was obviously predominantly aimed, I would imagine, at young children. It was very surreal. It might be something. It might be better to watch if you've had about half a bottle of vodka. It might be more enjoyable.
And a couple of tabs of LSD.
Yeah, it could be.
And
like
magic mushrooms.
Yeah, some drug or alcohol-induced sort of ingredients might be added to really appreciate this film.
There is things that stand in the defence of this film.
Please do, because I'm not going to slag it all off.
Before we go into it, there is things that I understand why you want to totally destroy it, and I had to sit through it over a day because it was that bad. But I did do some research into this movie. Firstly, years ago it was on the BBC and I missed it, and for years I always wanted to see Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
I'd never heard of it.
You know, I thought it was British. I'm sure there's a British black and white.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned it to me last week, you said it was a British movie. And then,
I'm sure there is a black and white British version.
When I found out on YouTube, I just assumed, well, this must be the one that Martin's talking about. So if there is a different movie, and if anybody knows what Martin thinks there might be existing, then please let us know.
But I assume this is it, and this is now there is some interesting facts in this film.
Right, what's that?
Well, the little girl, that's Pia Zadora.
Mm.
She's a famous singer.
Okay, I've not heard of her. Not familiar with her.
It was like a Hollywood singer in the 60s or something.
Pia Sedora. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The film idea was idea producer Paul Jacobson, who works in video production, and he had he wanted to do a Yuletide science fiction fantasy. He said it because he made it because of a perceived gap in the market, except for the Disney movies.
Right.
There's very little in film houses that children recognise as their own, and he succeeded in selling the idea, and he made it in 2 weeks. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians received mostly negative reviews,
Okay.
with most of its positive feedback coming in the form, I swear, it gets defended, coming in the form of the film being so bad it's good.
Good. Yeah.
On the film review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, film has a 25% score based on 24 reviews.
Right.
Now the film became famous again because of that Mystery Theatre 3000.
Yep. It says so here. Yeah. The comedy series. Yeah.
Yep, they brought it back and it sort of made a bit of a return.
Mystery Science Theatre. It's called.
In 1991, and it gained a fan base.
Right. Okay. As I suppose everything does to a degree. I mean, let me chip in at this point because I've just got some information about it. It says here that the film apparently regularly appears on lists of the worst films ever made. It's regularly featured on the bottom 100 list of the Internet Movie Database and was featured in an episode of the Syndicate series of the Cannes Film Festival of 1986. Santa Claus and the Martians took a newfound fame in 1990s after being featured, as you just said, in an episode of the comedy series Mystery Science Theatre 3000. That episode became a holiday staple of the Comedy Central cable channel in the years following its premiere in 1991. It has since found new life again, as it has been the subject of new riffing by Cinema Titanic and riff tracks, both produced of former MST3K writers and performers. The film is also featured on Elvira's movie Macabre. So that's it. So that's a few facts my end. What other facts have you got your end?
I think you've covered it all. I think that's its defence.
That's the main defence of it. All right.
That's the defence of this movie, and now we can totally destroy it.
Well, I've got the actual plot properly. I know I've already sort of did a summary from my own recollection, but it says the basic plot says the Martians, Moma, Mum Martian, and Kimmer, King Martian, are worried that their children, Germa, Girl Martian, and Bomar, Boy Martian, are watching too much Earth television. Most notably, station Kids TV interview with Santa Claus in his workshop at Earth's North Pole. Consulting the ancient 800-year-old Martian sage Chochum, a Yiddish Hebrew word meaning a sage, through pronounced differently from the film's version, they are advised that the children of Mars are growing distracted due to society's overly rigid structure. From infancy, all their education is fed into their brains through machines that they are not allowed to individually and they're not allowed individuality, trying to say that, or freedom of thought. Chochum notes that he has seen this coming for centuries and says that the only way to help children is to allow them freedom to be allowed to have fun. To do this, Mars needs a Santa Claus figure, like on Earth. Leaving Chochum's cave, the Martians' leaders decide to abduct Santa Claus from Earth and bring him to Mars. The Martians cannot distinguish between all the fake Santas, though, so they kidnap 2 children to find the real one. Once this is accomplished, one Martian, Voldar, who strongly disagrees with the idea, repeatedly tries to kill Santa Claus, along with the 2 kidnapped Earth children. He believes that Santa is corrupting the children of Mars and turning them away from Mars' original glory. When they arrive at Mars, Santa and the children build a factory to make toys for the Martian children. However, Voldar and his assistants Stobo and Shim sabotage the factory and change its programming so that it makes the toys incorrectly. Meanwhile, Dropo, Kimar's assistant, who has taken a great liking to Santa Claus and Christmas, puts on Santa's spare suits and starts acting like Santa Claus. He goes to the toy factory to make toys, but Voldar mistakes him for Santa and kidnaps him. When Santa and the children come back to the factory and make more toys, they discover that someone has tampered with the machines. Voldar and Stobo come back to the factory to make a deal with Kimar. But when they see the real Santa Claus, they realize that their plan has been foiled. Dropo, held hostage in a cave, tricks his guard Shim and escapes. Kimar then arrests Voldar, Stobo, and Shim. One more sentence, then we're done. Then Santa notices that Dropo acts like him and says that Dropo would make a very good Martian Santa Claus. Kimar agrees and sends Santa and the children back to Earth. That's the full story. It's worse when you read the story than it is to review it, I think.
I got the message off you on Sunday. Have you watched it yet? And so I went through it through like creature features with a host at the beginning of the film, and he pops up in it.
Yeah.
And so I thought at least I'll get to enjoy it that way. And God, it took me a day to get through it.
Yeah.
I mean, there were moments when I was in stitches. I mean, there is some fucking ridiculous scenes in it. Oh. How this got made was beyond me. It really was. It is. Never
seen anything like this. This is one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. I've seen.
Yeah. I've never seen. I've heard about it on the circuit for years, and I didn't know it was on YouTube, and I don't want it on a hard drive at all.
No, I'm not adding this to my film collection. I'm telling you that now.
Santa Claus Goes to Mars. It needs to stay buried, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, when you saw the Martian with the fucking pipe sticking out of the head, and the spandex, and the evil one.
Maybe that was how they thought about creating the Borg on Star Trek Next Generation with the pipes and stuff sticking out. There is some reference to the Borg there, I thought. For some reason.
Yeah. And kids are all acting weird because they're watching so much TV.
Oh, TV, yeah.
And what? Because they're all a bit fucking up their own asses and a bit boring. I mean, they did have Wi-Fi though, didn't they? They had Wi-Fi.
Yes, they did
have Wi-Fi.
That's it. You see. So from this movie, it invented Wi-Fi and Mrs. Santa Claus.
Yeah. I mean, this film. I mean, it created the concepts of Mrs. Claus. So I mean, that's its one astounding quality. I mean, I gave up with that TV presenter interviewing the dwarves. And here we are at Santa's house.
He kept coming back, didn't he?
He's got a slave force on low wages.
Yeah,
making them work 20 hours a day. Toys. Now, I mean, question is, I once said to my parents, well, if he's giving toys out for nothing, why are you going to the shop buying them? And I got told to shut up. do you know what I mean? This mysterious guy. I mean,
were you about 2 at the time when you asked this kind of thing?
I probably was, yeah. But this film, it was absolutely fucking stupid.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Look, I'm up for watching shite, and
yeah, me too.
I enjoy a lot of shite, but this.
I don't know what to make of this thing.
I mean, the scene that did my head in, they were on fucking spaceship going to Earth, and they were looking through telescope things, and they go, "We found Santa," but I found him.
Oh, that's right. There's all people, all dressed up, which is the real Santa. Oh, it's pathetic. Oh my God.
So, they land somewhere in, I don't know, somewhere back outside of America, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
near a swamp.
Yes, they find the 2 kids. They find those 2 kids there.
They find 2 kids in the swamp. Now, this ain't suspicious, right? God. Kid says, well, there's only one Santa Claus. He lives at North Pole. So they kidnap the kids.
To find the real Santa.
Yeah, and then we get a conspiracy going on with Boldar, who wants to take over government and just, I don't know, just be evil, and absolutely useless at being evil. And they go to Santa's house and freeze everybody. They want even a special effects for it, man. They want even a special
I think I was looking away with it. I think I looked away at that bit. So was he just like go like that?
They're all thrown like that, Mrs. Claus, and they take him. So they take him and 2 kids off to this other planet, Mars. And Santa Claus, and then you've got the Daft Martian, Dippo, whatever he's called, Bobo, whatever.
Dippo.
And he's like, he's like right happy, and he's not like, well, he's like the one that's slightly malfunctioned, isn't he? He's not like oppressed like the rest of them. And they take Santa Claus to and on Spaceship, there's that scene that really, I mean, I did start laughing when Boldar shoved him in the airlock. And he said, "You see that clock? In 60 seconds, you're going to be out through hatch."
That's it. Yeah.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no, Santa Claus, because they couldn't get down.
He can get through, squeeze through stuff. He can. Yeah. Oh my God.
He squeezed through.
Yeah.
Through
He's like a changeling now. So he's also like a like Odo or something. It's like
he went through heaven, and this Boldar's going, "Well, how did you get out?" He said, "Oh, whoa, whoa, you know, I can get around places." Me, I thought, yeah. You know, and I just fucking start them.
He came across as a bit of a pedo, that Tantra as well. He was really dodgy. I just didn't like him at all.
Well, they felt fucking
dodgy. I know. The acting was terrible. The acting was bloody awful from everybody involved.
And then suddenly you go back to Earth and it's going, the Martians have kidnapped Santa Claus and 2 kids. Well, how do you know that?
I know. Yeah, exactly.
How do you know that? Meanwhile, and don't get me started on the wise man in the forest. That big puff of smoke and he appeared. I mean, it's insane fucking. It's been sat on. Well, I don't know.
What did you think of the robot?
I don't. For God's sake. You mean when it malfunctioned?
It was like
go get Tog.
It makes Doctor Who sort of like 60s monsters look like a work of art compared to this bloody thing.
Well, it did.
That was terrible.
I mean that scene though, when like they couldn't get the red round how he got out of airlock, and then the big battle scene ends when Santa turned up machines into making toys.
Yeah,
I mean they were that scene. It were insane. That scene. It were like. All these kids attacked the village. He went in with his ray gun going, I'm now going to get rid of you and I'm going to take over Mars. And all kids attacked him with toys. And it went on for like 10 minutes.
It went on and on and on. Yeah, it just went on and on and on and on.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
And I thought, I can't take any more of this. I thought, I've watched.
I had to. I did this for you. For us, for the podcast. I wouldn't have
done. All right. Thank you for your sacrifice.
And thank you for your sacrifice. It's a team effort.
I didn't know. I thought it was a British production, and I thought it might have been a bit, because it were English and it had a bit of a cult following.
So you're saying if it was British, it would have been a lot better? Are you offending all Americans? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it probably would have been worse.
Look,
I would have thought.
I reviewed Stranger from Venus, the British equivalent of The Day the Earth Stood Still, and that was fucking terrible.
And of course,
they even got the female actress from the original movie to
be in the other one. Oh, okay, I've not seen that one.
And it's on YouTube. It's terrible. The guy turns up 1952 in a tracksuit.
What about the Nightmare Man? We saw recently. We reviewed that recently. That was terrible.
The Nightmare Man. What happened in that?
Well, you remember we saw it. Exactly. It was that weird thing that we reviewed, isn't it, a few weeks ago before we had our break? The Nightmare Man. The Nightmare Man. You know what
happened in it?
Well, I don't know. It was that weird thing where it was that. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. Do you not remember the Nightmare Man?
No.
Are you serious?
I think my mind might have shut down to protect my sanity.
Oh, all right, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happened? Give me a quick recap.
It was this weird Scottish island or something. There was this.
That.
And it was a Soviet, sort of like that thing.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I've been thinking about fucking deleting that. Actually.
What off your channel?
No, well, oh God, that was terrible. That one. I mean, was Santa Claus Conquer the Martians worse than that?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're on a similar par. I think they're on similar. I don't know which is. I think that probably. I don't know. Santa Claus is probably worse than the Nightmare Man.
I'm fed up of watching stuff as potential, and then it just sinks. I mean, I personally thought Santa Claus from Mars had some. I thought it was like a comedy.
No, but it wasn't a comedy on purpose. It was that bad. It was unintentional comedy.
Did you laugh?
Yes.
Yeah,
And I
did,
cringed,
yeah.
and I was just,
cringe, yeah.
and I was just thinking, I thought, is this ever going to end, kind of thing.
Well, the actors in it, they were all stage actors.
Well, they didn't act like it. They acted like they just got pulled them off the street or something.
Well,
From like
apparently, he said it thing. They were pulled off a stage show, which stopped for 2 weeks,
right, yeah.
playing Oliver and all this like real hardcore.
I didn't go to that
stuff.
bloody stage show. I would have asked for money back.
What with that quality of acting?
It was shit. They couldn't act their way out of a paper bag. It was terrible. Everything about it. The production value, the music, the
don't get me started on the fucking music. Wow, there wasn't even any Christmas bloody music in it.
And there was some cheesy song, la la la. I can't remember how it went now, but it was just. I mean, my God.
See, I thought he'd go to Mars to rescue the kids on his reindeers.
No, he had to get there by a spaceship, didn't he? He got there by the Martian spaceship. Didn't even have the. Where was Rudolph? Where were the reindeers?
On strike outside. Fed up. They've had enough.
Yeah, no.
Can you name all the reindeers?
Rudolph was the one I know. I don't know. Do you know them then? You sound like you know all the names. You asked me a question. I know Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And is it Randy and Redmond?
Randy and Vixen or something.
Randy Vixen. Sounds like a porn star.
It does, Randy Vixen, doesn't it? Come down to Santa's Lodge, X-rated. Hey, Randy Vixen. Santa goes to Mars, Santa goes to Mars and brings sex to him for Christmas, Starring Randolph Vixen, Randy Vixen. We just
I bet if you Google that, I bet there is somebody out there called Randy Vixen. If I know, I'm not going to Google it, but it probably is somebody called Randy Vixen.
Have you ever noticed when you've watched certain like stuff from '70s and the credits at the beginning? Some of these actors have these strange names.
These really cheesy.
Yeah. There was one I watched called Hunt Block. Seriously, they've got these names like that. It's like Hunt Block.
Yeah, I know. It's some really strange. It was a really weird decade, but this was years before that. This was like the mid-'60s. This was the same year that the original Star Trek was made with Jeffrey Hunter.
Santa Claus Conquers Mars?
Yeah, 1964.
They never made Star Trek, did they?
Well, they made the Christopher Pike, Jeffrey Hunter pilot in the same year.
What happened?
I know. Well,
I mean, somebody gave that. There is a story here because somebody financed this fucking film.
I know.
They had to get the money from somewhere, and somebody put up the money.
What, all 50p of it, or 50 cents of it, whatever.
A quid. I got to a quid. Yeah. They couldn't even get a fucking reindeer in it at the beginning. I thought they'd have had a.
Oh, here we are.
Were there any?
I've got some information about the production. Okay, I've got all the information here. Okay. So the film was the idea of producer Paul Jacobson, who worked in video production and wanted to move into features. He hired writer Glenneth Merritt to develop the idea and Nicholas Webster to direct and made the film through his own J-Law Productions. Jacobson called the film a Yuletide science fiction fantasy and said he made it because of a perceived gap in the market. Actually, we've already read something about this before. Except for the Disneys, there's very little in the film houses that children recognise as their own. Okay, this doesn't make sense. Jacob succeeded in selling the film's distribution rights to Joseph E. Levine. The filming took place over 2 weeks, and you always said this, from July to August 1964 at the Michael Myberg Studios in Long Island. Jacob said at this particular studio, with a group of wonderfully cooperative technicians, we've been able to get lots of production value for our low budget. We're also shooting in colour to get full picturesque effects with our toy factors and Martian and North Pole backgrounds. Cast members John Cool and Victor Stiles were appearing on stage in Oliver, you've already just said that, while Donna Conforti was appearing in Here's Love on Broadway. In the interview in 1966, Levine said that he had made 15 family-type pictures in 18 months, but don't let it get around. I don't want anyone to know because families don't like to go to see them. They just talk about them. But I make them anyway because I have the protection of the television. Money in the bank, the television. Okay, that doesn't make sense, the last bit. Let's look at the box office. February 1965, New York Times said on its release, the film reached a box office bonanza in a regular multi-theatre booking. Critical reception, Santa Claus received mostly negative reviews, with most of its positive feedback coming in the form of the film being so bad, it's good. On the film, the review I can't say that word, website, Rotten Tomatoes, we've always said that's 25% score. It has been released home media. It's been in bargain bin labels and home media, so it's probably like things on DVD. I don't know it's ever been on VHS, but I know that there is a Blu-ray version of it, a high-def copy of it. So there must be somebody out there who's buying it, or somewhere.
Made the money, haven't it?
Yeah, it looks like it, but I'm very surprised at this movie. It's
yeah, but
really
I mean, this doesn't even fit into. I mean, for me, this like when you get it's bad, but it's good.
Yeah,
I don't even think this is worthy of that title.
I don't think so either.
I've watched some shite over the years, but there's always something in it. It's sort of like, I don't mind that because it's it's doing that. And
I agree.
Cheesy as anything, but
you get something out of it. I didn't get anything out of it in any way.
I was getting annoyed with it. I was getting really.
I would just think, for crying out loud, just get sort out the Martians and bugger off back home kind of thing and go on. It's just God's sake.
To me, it was like an amateur production made with a cine camera.
Yeah.
And somebody built a cheesy set in a garage.
And not like, because YouTube, a lot of people on YouTube can do some really good stuff for nothing. Like the fan films, like the Star Trek films. I mean, some of those are really professional, and obviously they vary. But this, of course, was a different time in its defense. It wasn't made in 2022. It was made in 1964, so it's a very different world. But
didn't even have any fucking. There were no Christmas music. There was
no redeeming
Christmas
feature. There was nothing
film.
about this at all. It was just some old duffer in a Santa suit going to Mars.
Yeah, and he were annoying.
Yeah, he was.
He were annoying. He were like every time there was a serious situation. He were like, but I'm Santa Claus. They won't really shoot us out of the air. They fucking will.
Jesus Christ.
We didn't even get a laser beam effect from.
No, didn't even get that.
What did they call it? The Q beam.
Didn't get anything.
There were nothing redeemable about this film, and he got the job at the end as the Martian Santa Claus.
Yeah,
and
I could never watch this again. I'm telling you that now. I once in a lifetime's enough for me. It's ruined my Christmas this year. I just want to I just don't want to get out of bed for us this year and just sort of get on with 2023. No, I'm glad I saw it, and I actually think this is an interesting one to review. So I was supposed to sum up then. We have to give it our rating out of 10. So,
if this had been a porno movie starring Randy Vixen goes to Mars and shows them sex,
and then Santa goes, ho ho ho,
oh ho ho, starring Randy Vixen.
That's it.
This could have been.
I'd have watched that.
Yeah,
exactly. But as it wasn't, as it was aimed for 3-year-olds, I suppose out of 10, I'm going to give it a rating of 0.
0? Oh, come on, it's Christmas.
All right, then, 2. That's as good as it's getting then. What about you then? What are you going to give it? You're not going to give it... you just go...
0.
Is it a 0 from you?
Yeah, it's a 0.
Yeah, all right, 0 for me,
I never want to sit through that show.
No, I never. No, that was the worst thing we've ever reviewed.
Never. There were fuck all in this film of any redeeming quality. I was looking for something.
There was nothing.
And I was getting. There was 1 or 2 scenes that I laughed at. And then rest of it, I just think, when is this fucking?
I think the airlock scene.
I've got to watch it.
I think the airlock scene where he squeezed around the back because he can actually squeeze through his heart. I think that was the scene where I thought, I want to die right now, then finish off this fucking film. It was that.
Well, that's it. I mean, Martians were absolutely useless.
Yeah,
and then costumes.
It was pathetic. The whole thing. It was like it was made for like 50p, and it really was. I mean, it was just terrible. Martin, thank you very much for this. This has certainly made an interesting review for Christmas. I will post on my notes the link if you do want to watch the movie, and then please, if you do, please let us know what you think of it. Maybe we're a tough crowd, as you said. There is a fan base out there. I don't know why there's a fan base out there, but apparently
Well,
there is.
There is. I
So,
mean, it's made its money.
yeah,
I mean,
and it's still remembered.
it's getting released on bloody Blu-ray. I mean,
And
get your head
it's
around that
remembered
one.
60 years later, and it's still prominent. And we're talking about it 60 years after this drivel was made in 2 weeks in some shed somewhere in America where it was. So, Martin, thank you very much for that. That was a good one. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to fade off the Zoom thing, and then we'll sort of like finish off sort of talking about a few things. So we'll be right back. Right, so we're back. All right, so yeah, so that's pretty much it for that movie. Certainly interesting. So sort of like we were just saying that we haven't really got much in the way of news this week. Most things are going quiet. I might be going to see the new Avatar movie. I know that Martin's not that bothered about it.
Yeah, I've heard reviews out that good for it.
I've heard mixed views. Some of the reviews I've heard are actually quite good. Apparently, it's 3 hours long. Apparently, the last hour is when it really kicks into gear, but it's a long film, and that's fair enough. I mean, I was going to say to you actually before we go, always some ideas about what we can review when we come back, so I could do the graphics over Christmas. I thought of a number of films we could do. We could do, if you don't want to do Avatar the original, we could do Life, which I just saw yesterday again, which I think is quite a good movie.
No, we've done Life.
We haven't done it. No, we
I
haven't.
thought we had.
No, we haven't done that. And I really enjoy watching it again. Do you want to do that when we come back?
Yeah, we'll do Life, yeah.
Brilliant. All right, so that's that one. So over Christmas, it just there's not much on. There's a few animated Star Wars, Star Trek shows on, which I have to admit, I'm not really going to watch those because I'm not really into those. So the next thing I'm looking forward to, I suppose it's the same with you, is Picard at the beginning of Feb. I think it's the second week in Feb. So another month to go. How about you? Do anything nice over Christmas? Just doing the usual things?
I'm out and about. That's it, really. Out and about. Can't get anywhere because it strikes, So
I'm
stuck here this year. So stuck here. So just get on with it. Yeah. I'm gonna start watching Doom Patrol.
I've heard
which
of that.
I do recommend you should watch.
Yeah, you've told me about that before. What's it about again? Remind me of what it's about.
Well, it's about a bunch of misfits that end up dealing with some really strange, out there shit. And
okay.
It's an all-star cast. Brendan Fraser as Robot Man.
Okay.
Timothy Dalton as the chief. You see a whole town come out of a donkey's ass.
Well, it happens. It happens.
Well, it does. It does. I do recommend you should give Doom Patrol a go.
So is it like a superhero sort of thing?
Well, it's sort of, it's taken from that universe, but it's about a load of, they're all too weird, like people.
Actually, I remember you telling me about this now, that they're all sort of misfits, but they've all got superpowers of different...
Yeah, but it's not...
Contrast, it's contrast.
Yeah, but they've all got, only you've got to watch it to believe it.
All right, okay, brilliant.
It's where, honestly, when you see a whole town come out of a donkey's backside, it's trust me, the minute you see that, you're hooked.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll give it a go.
It's so weird. And they go into there's all these crazy, insane, weird villains. Michelle Gomez is in it as well.
Oh, Michelle Gomez. Oh, I like her.
Yeah, she turns up, yeah.
Okay. I'll tell you what then, in the new year, I've got a sort of thing we could do. If I watch Doom Patrol, it was Doom Watch what it was called, you should watch Russian Doll for the first season, which is like a Groundhog Day repeat looping kind of thing.
Where is it? What's it on?
I think it's on Netflix, but I'm sure that that there's a link we can find for you to check it out.
Yeah.
It's quite a clever series. The second season is not as good, but I think it might be something that you might enjoy, at least the first season. So we'll try and do that New Year. Try and sort of watch some new shows because we're gonna have a gap now for a while until we can focus on the new Star Treks and Star Wars and stuff and Doctor Who. Well, Doctor Who's not till next year anyway, November.
So when do you want to come back then?
Shall we come back the first Wednesday in January, which I think will be something like January the 5th, or do you want to come back the week after?
I'll come back on 5th. We could do a review of this year's science fiction programs. Yeah. The top 5 best sci-fi series of this year.
Yeah, I mean, what we could do. Why do we have like if we do Life, but we could do half and half. We'll do half of Life,
Yeah.
and then the other half will be the top five. We'll do a sort of split thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So we'll do both next, and that'd be a
Yep.
good. That's a good one. All right, Martin. All right. Well, until then, we wish you all a very, very happy Christmas.
Yes.
Hopefully, wherever you are, there's not too many strikes. You can get about. You can, it's been a bit of a weird year. But certainly been a memorable one for me. Quite a few things I've done this year, so I'm just going to enjoy having a rest, and we'll be back next year, Martin and me, talking about all sorts of things which should give you interest. I've loved doing this show, and like I said, even though I watched this Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, or whatever, was shite, it was definitely worth a review. So Martin, thank you for that.
Well, next year you get to choose the Christmas movie.
I don't know of any other Christmas movies. I do not know.
Well, there's always Randy Vixen Goes to Mars.
I'll Google it after we finish recording. How does that sound? Martin, thank you very much. Happy Christmas and live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Merry Christmas.